Good morning. Let's talk about one of the most common things that people say to me. My boss is a narcissist. So I must get told this on comments, DMs, emails, on calls, at least like twice a day, if not more. And it is one of the most common things. The word narcissist now plays a huge part in my life because people regularly say to me, my boss is a narcissist. And I say the same thing to them every time. The word narcissist, the disorder, the mental health condition, the personality disorder of a narcissist is a very strong word to just be calling people in the street. And I appreciate that within the narcissism, in narcissism, there is a trait of a narcissist which is like they have high self-importance, like high aggrandization of themselves and their own, worth in the world. But just because someone is a bit egotistical and maybe doesn't think about, or you kind of, the view you have of them is they don't care about other people, they're just out for themselves, doesn't necessarily make them a narcissist. It makes them egotistical, it makes them maybe mean, unaware of their own ego and biases. But the reason it's so important to make this distinction is because when someone is a narcissist, and your boss may genuinely be one, but I just wouldn't ever diagnose someone as a narcissist without professional help. And whilst ever we say they're a narcissist, what we are essentially saying is nothing can be done. I can't, nothing within all this stuff is happening to me because my boss is a narcissist, and when someone's a narcissist, it's a disorder. Nothing can be done. Like, if you genuinely have a narcissistic boss, leave. That is the only way you will make any progress, is to just get out of there, because they cannot be helped, they cannot be fixed, and you will never be able to progress under their reign, under their control, because it's a disorder. However, when we accept that maybe the word narcissist isn't the right word to describe someone unless they have been professionally diagnosed with the word narcissism, with narcissist. What have we got today? Keep growing. Love it. I have all these positive affirmation mugs and they're so lovely. When we accept that maybe the word narcissist isn't the right one, but that they are egotistical, they are unaware of their own ego, they maybe have high aggrandization of themselves and their achievements, there's something we can do about that. Because it isn't to say that this person can't change, it isn't to say that this person has never, they might never have been told. And so then when you start to look at it as though maybe they're not narcissists, but they have some traits that are really difficult to work for, that make it really hard for me and my colleagues to progress, then we can talk about the things you can put in place to make sure that either it doesn't impact your career, or it doesn't impact your mental health, or that you can help them, go and have a conversation with them. I wonder if anyone has ever sat that person down and said, do you know that your decisions are really impacting a lot of people around you because all you seem to care about is yourself? And I know we're in quite a competitive environment, but we can all win together if we all help each other. Has anyone ever sat that person down and said that to them? And if not, you can be the one to do it. And I know it's not fair because it is not your fault, but it is your problem. The problem is when we say someone's a narcissist, it almost relinquishes any level of responsibility over what they're doing. And because it's a disorder, it's like a medical condition that we can't do anything about it, we can't fix it, we just need to get out of there. Whereas when we accept they might not be a narcissist, but they might be all those traits that we don't like, we can have difficult conversations, we can set some clear boundaries for ourselves, start saying no. I was thinking about this yesterday, the power. If there was one thing I could teach you, if there was one thing that I could give to you that I think I've grown into over the last 5 or so years, it would be how comfortable I now feel saying no. I feel so comfortable saying no to meetings, if a meeting comes in and it doesn't have an agenda, doesn't have a description, it's not clear why I need to be in it, it's a straight up no, because that is essentially someone trying to steal my precious time, the only resource that's finite in my life, steal it out of my calendar. And if they don't kind of tell me why it's so important that I'm there, it's a no. Even if it comes from my boss, and my boss knew that, like my boss Karen, she was brilliant with stuff like this, and she did the same thing. And James, my boss before Karen, was exactly the same. And we would have those conversations, like it's a no. And when you want to kind of go from that being given a management position to moving into now you are a leader who has control over their own time, doesn't just sit in back-to-back meetings all day and then gets to the end of the day and is like, shit, where's another day gone? The only way you can make that transition is to start saying no. There is no other way. To start pushing back on meetings, to start saying no to if there's too much change coming from above and you're getting so much pressure to like give that change over to your team, you go, no, this is going to negatively impact them again. And it's you pushing back, saying no, and just showing what you stand for. And I know in the moment, saying no in the moment, it can be difficult, even for me sometimes now. Like, what have I said no? I've said no to like 5 different podcasts recently, going on podcasts, because it's an absolute honour to be asked to go on people's podcast. But every time I go on a podcast, it's not only an hour of my time sitting there, sometimes it's travelling to the podcast, quite often it's preparing, and 1 hour in the morning, I always used to think this, like, if I'm busy at 10 a.m, if I have 1 hour at 10 a.m. that's booked out of my calendar, that's the whole day gone. The whole morning gone. Because, yeah, okay, I might be able to like do some emails between 9 and 10, and I might be able to do something else between 11 and lunchtime, but I can't do any deep focus work. I can't do any like deep project work. So if I've got a meeting at 10 a.m, it needs to be important. Like, it needs to be a meeting that's important enough to railroad my entire morning. And it's the same with podcasts. Like, if I'm going to go on a podcast, it needs to be important enough for me and for that person. Like, sometimes people reach out for podcasts and it's a really half-arsed ask, and I always think like, ooh, you could definitely sell yourself more here. That's another thing. If anyone ever wants me to tell you how to pitch for someone to go on your podcast, let me know, because I feel like I've received probably 100 people pitching now for me to go on their podcast, and some of them really stand out and some of them really don't. That's a whole nother story for another day. Anyway, so say no to meetings, say no to change if change is constantly coming your way. Say no to being the one who like takes part in gossip. This is one of the toughest no's that I had to learn, which was, and I got burnt by it a couple of times, which was like, if you have friends at work, which most of us do, and you, I don't know, go to the pub with them after work every now and again, or you sit and have breakfast with them before work every now and again, or maybe you text them like on WhatsApp outside of work about work. I used to be one of those people and would be wrapped up in the group chats and the gossip and like not necessarily creating it. I was never the person who would like create it, but by being part of it and just like not stopping it, you are encouraging it, like you are a part of it. And so I was that person, and there was so many times that people would say things. I remember the first time someone said like a word that was, I think they'd said like, oh, that's gay, and this is before I was out. They were like, oh, that's gay, which is obviously like saying it in a derogatory term. And I thought to myself, I would never say, that's not a nice thing to say, that's like really derogatory. And I remember the first time I like called someone out on it, and I was like, can we not use that word please in like a derogatory sense, because it's just not cool. Like, I know it was schoolyard talk, but we need to get out of that now. And the first time I did it, I felt like such an outsider. And I think I'd said it in a group chat, I felt like, oh my God, everyone hates me. And that's a version of no. That's a version of, I won't accept this, and I don't think you should either. And it's hard because you know that when you say the no, you're going to uncover something in the person on the receiving end of the no that is almost like a little bit shocked, a little bit shame-filled maybe. Like when you push back on a meeting, and I've done this, God, countless times now, you push back on a meeting, it is almost like saying to that person, your meeting's pointless. And that's the hard thing to stomach. However, when you do that once, do that twice, it might hurt the person on the receiving end. However, fast forward a year, and their meeting culture, like the way they send meeting invites, the way that they accept certain behaviours or don't in meetings, the way that they value their own time grows exponentially because you have put in some boundaries with them. Just like that person in that group chat who I said, no, we don't say that, that's derogatory and I don't accept it. We'll never say that again. And like, they can grow out of it as well. So there is so much power in your no. So much power. How many times can you say no today? How many times can you push back on things? How many meetings can you cancel? Because I guarantee it's more than you think. And you don't have to be shy about it. It's just, it's not a priority right now. Or I need to know exactly what this is for. I need a clearer agenda. You've got this. Bye.